Good morning everybody. Well, it's good morning for me. Right, here's some of our bits that we were playing with the Pebeo paints. I've got 4 here. I'll show you them. So this was the one that I drew on with the liner and then put foil on, and then we just did dots of colour in. Got some really interesting and funky patterns on that one, and as you can see now it's dried back a little bit. The silver is more raised, so it gives a really cool cloisonne effect, doesn't it? Here's the little swirly one, which is pretty cool too. And as you can see, again, excuse me, that chai tea is killing me. The paints themselves have a very beautiful glossy surface on them. I'm not going to coat these with anything, guys, for the simple reason I'm going to turn them into fridge magnets, so they're not going to be overly handled like a piece of jewellery would. Now this one, can you see the edges? I just got some of the sticky stuff, the mixing stuff on my finger, and I just pushed it around and let it dry, and then I put a bit of foil on so it's kind of grungy looking, and that got some beautiful patterns in as well. Some of the blue that I used didn't turn, is that focused, didn't come through as much as I thought it would, but you know, that's how this stuff is. You can see specks of it really, but not a great deal of blue came through. And then this was the one that I stamped and then traced over. Again, nice foiling effect. Now I've gone around the edges as well on some of these, and I'm just going to quickly show you how I which ones shall I do? I'll do that one and that one, the bigger ones. I'll do those in a moment. I'm just going to put some magnets on the back, and I'll just show you quickly how I do it. These are the magnets I use, little tiny thin, very tiny button magnets. They're very cheap off eBay and stuff. You want to get the strong ones though. There's some that aren't very strong. These are the uber strong ones, and I stick them onto a bit of tape, can you see, just so they're easy to handle, because as you know I can be a bit clumsy and I don't want to get my fingers glued up. Now I'm just using this Gorilla Glue. It's the first one I picked up. It's the one that it needs a bit of water to activate it. I'll just get a cocktail stick, and all I do is I just put, can you see what I'm doing? I'm just going to put the tiniest drop on my magnets. That's actually too much on that one. We just take a bit off. The tiniest drop. Oh, now my tape's sticking to me on my magnets. Oh, I should have just put a drop on my desktop really. Yeah, the tiniest drop of this stuff on my magnet. And I'm not the neatest at doing this, guys, so you know, do you, not me. And I'll just get a bit of water, and what I do is I just mist the back of my magnet with a bit of water, get it moving around. Obviously on a plastic surface it doesn't like it too much, but it still works. And then I just, using my tape so it's less fiddly for me, I just pop that down and then press, and I'll just get this bit of tissue to wipe away the excess wet, and I'll just leave that for a couple of minutes to sort itself out. And the same with this one. Let's just get that water moving, pop them down, firm pressure, and then mop up the excess water. Now that's how I do it. We all have our own ways, we all use different glues, and these are just for me. If they were if I was making them to gift, I would probably trap the magnet behind a little bit of circular card or something, just to make it a bit neater. but let's just peel that off. I'll just give them another little press and they should start going off shortly. I have to be careful sometimes because I end up gluing the tape down, which is why I'm taking it off now. Just make sure that they're pressed down, and there we go. Really quick way of doing it. Like I say, you've probably all got your own ways of doing stuff. That's just my quick way of getting magnets on. So I'll just pop them to one side while they dry off. Got some more magnets there for my others. Right, now before I get into mixing some glazing resin, these are the other pieces that we did together. I'm just going to fill these with resin. Just want to quickly show you a couple of things I've made, just to show you the sort of things that I do with this stuff. And it might not be to everybody's taste, of course, because I quite like the grungy look, but this is just a little tile, not a tile, a little canvas block, and I've just put some do you know, Liquitex with glass beads in. It's it comes already mixed to give myself some really cool texture, and I've just then I've painted over with the green glass paint, and then I drizzled lots of colours of the Prisme paints, so you can see it's reacted in a few places, and just let it run around. Really, it's kind of funky. You're not really, oh, there you go. So you can't really see the green too much on the camera and the silver that's underneath, but it's kind of funky, the sort of thing I like. You know, just as a tile, or I could actually put a bit of tape around this and build it up with resin and make it like a funky coaster if I wanted to. But that's just a sort of mixed media grungy stuff that I've done with it in the past. And here's one which I'm gonna show you the magic in a minute. I mixed a few different paints and I poured them on, so it's almost like a paint pour but with the paints, and as you can see, like, some have really reacted. This was just the metallic paint, so some reacts, some doesn't. You get a really funky look, and I don't know if you can make it out on the camera. There you go, in that light bit. I've drawn over it, picking out some of the lines and the blots and stuff with the sticky mixtion stuff. So I'm now going to get a piece of foil and show you what I've drawn on it. And Doris has been really sulking at me because I've had all this stuff on my desk, and I have a little plastic, it's an old food, it's an old salad container actually, that I take away salad, and I use it to cover up resin and things, then I don't get any cat fluff in it. And Doris has been a bit off because I wouldn't let her in while I was doing stuff, so I'm just burnishing this to pick up where I've put the mixtion stuff. And I know this isn't particularly clay related, guys, but you could do this if you were making like a clay tile or something. And a few of you did ask, you know, what kind of things do I do with it generally. So I just thought I'd make a couple of quick tiles to show you. I think I've got everywhere now. Just give it one last burnish to make sure I've caught everywhere. And there we go. Can you see now the silver? We've outlined pieces, just done little dots and dashes and wiggles and squiggles, and it's just outlined some of the pattern that was already on the oh, that bit's still a bit sticky, a little bit of the outline that's on the clay. Just make sure I've got those little corners. There we go. So I could now drizzle some resin over this as well to make it look even more funky. So that's that one. And when I had some drizzles left over from doing this one, I just put them all into a pot and I just let it run down it. It's just a glass tile, a see-through glass tile, and I've just let the drips run, and I'll put a bit of foil on the top. And again, I could cover this all in resin and make a funky coaster with it or something, but that was just the leftovers from when I was painting that I used up on that tile. Look at that funky pattern on there. So yeah, they're just some bits I was playing with, guys. So I'm going to mix some resin for these three. I'll just lift them up and show you that they came out beautifully. The red pigment in this that came up is fabulous. This was the one where I did 3 colour bands and then just dragged a stick through. This was the one where I just did the little cells and then left it to do what it wanted. And if you remember this one, I painted the gold down first and then I filled it with green on one end and blue on the other, and the golds popped up between it and made that quite funky as well. So I'll just mix a bit of resin up. I'm going to be using the Pebeo glazing resin, and it's a 2-part one. You use 2 parts of A and 1 part of B. I've got some little mixing cups here and a cup. I might speed this bit up, guys. You all know how to mix resin. And I'm just going to make I don't know how much to make actually. Oh, let me get this lid off. I don't want to make too much and waste it, although I could use it for something else. I'll just make as small amount as I possibly can, and then I'll see how I go. Right, I'm going to put 20 ml of the hardener in, and I'm going to put 40 ml of the resin in. So I've got a little line running around my little cup. I always put my hardener in first. Don't know why. It's something I've always done. I'd rather have too much hardener and not enough resin. And now I'm going to put 40 ml of resin in. So right to the top is 30. And this doesn't really have an order, this one. Oh, Doris, don't be jumping up now. And I'll just put 10 ml in. So now I've got 40 in. Just scrape my little cup out. Get as much out as I possibly can. Again, there we go. I could have weighed it, I suppose. And then of course you've got to just keep stirring. You all know the score with resin, I'm sure. Gently stir it. This one is quite a thick resin, so you will get quite a lot of bubbles if you're not careful. But for what I'm doing, I don't mind a couple of bubbles, and plus I can torch it as well. So I'm just gonna just let that sit a minute, guys, and then I'll yeah, I could have been a bit gentler with that. It's got loads of bubbles in, but I can flash it, so it's not a problem. Right, let's get these filled up. And I just do it this way because it's a bit easier to control. For me, that is. You could use a pipette, I suppose. Again, I don't like wasting the pipettes. Try and get a nice dome on it without it spilling. I think that one's full enough. Let's put a little drop more in that, just to make sure that I've got a nice dome. And I think this could handle a little bit more, so I'll just put a little bit more in. Right, now then, let's just turn these round and I can double check. Cocktail stick, that one's okay, that one's gone to the edges. This one's got a little bit of a curve on it, so I'm just wary of overfilling it, but I think that one will be okay now. Just get that drip off the side. And I'll just grab my little torch, guys, and I can just give it a little flash. The bubbles are fizzing off quite well, but I'll give it a helping hand. There we go. They should be pretty clear now. I seem to have a bit of cat fluff though in that one. There we go. Right, I'll pop them. I'll pop them to one side. I'm just going to give them one more little blast with my doodah. I'll pop them to one side to set. Sorry guys, I was just making sure they were level. Right, I think I'm not going to do anything with this one. I quite like the texture on it, but I might drizzle a bit onto this just for a bit of texture. I'm just going to get a little amount first and just do some little dots on some of these bits. I can spread it around with a cocktail stick if I so wish. I think I'll just follow some of the lines, get a bit of a drizzle going. And you could always add inclusions to this, guys, at this point. You know, you could sprinkle some inclusions on if you so wished. You know, the world's your oyster, I suppose. Let's get some over here. I'm going to fill that corner up a little bit, I think, and maybe this corner. And do a couple of little drops here and there. Will that do? Maybe a drop there. I like doing little drops of it. You get like little glass, but it looks like little glass buttons on your work. Maybe a couple there. Right, I think that'll do. I'll just get a cocktail stick and just move this around a little bit. Maybe drag it a little bit where some of those tails are going. Maybe drag that into those two dots. Let's get that to go around there a little bit. Where else? Get this on the edge. Get that into that one. That one looks pretty cool. Let's do this corner. I might actually sprinkle a few glass beads into this. Oh, got some spillage there. Right, let me look. Looks kind of funky. Let's wipe that excess up. Right. I'm going to leave this to one side to dry. Also guys, but can you see what I've done? I've just got, I don't want to tip it too much. I've just used it as like a drizzler for texture and stuff. So I'll pop this to one side in a minute and I'll be back when everything's touch dry, so I can show you what I've done. See you in a minute. Hi guys, just a little addition really. As soon as I've got a bit of resin left, I thought I would just make a couple of little pendants. So I'm just going to tip some of this into a little cup so I can tint it. And I'm not tinting the whole batch. And I've just got some honeycomb alcohol ink, and I'll just do a couple of amber style. I'll just two or three drops is generally enough for what you're doing. And you don't have to mix it in perfectly either. It looks nice if it's got a bit of a wave running through it, if that makes sense. But I am going to add that, to be fair. And just another little tip, if you're using these kind of silicone moulds, don't use a really sharp tool because you'll scratch it and that will turn out on your doodah. So what I do is I just tap it to take the sharp end off. Then I don't scratch my mould. Right, so we'll do a square one. I'm not going to fill it too deep. And then what's left I'll put into this oval. And there should just be enough in this cup to do that. I've kind of got used to how much I need for 2 cabs. Just get that, scrape that excess out. Again, waste not, want not. And then I'm just going to put a drop there and just wiggle it through like that. And the same on this one, just one drop and then wiggle it through. It's nothing, you know, fantastic, just that's all I do, and it just gives it a little bit of depth to the pendant. Just scrape along that because I'm not happy with how that's sitting. Sometimes with that, if you're using alcohol inks, I don't know if you can make out, there's a dark band where the bit of alcohol ink that was on the surface has floated to one end, and you can just drag your cocktail stick through that if you so wish, to break it up a bit. To be fair, it blends in as it's going off, so you won't really notice. I'll just give them a flash with my torch to get the bubbles out, or the majority of the bubbles out. But again, with amber, a faux amber, if there's a few inclusions and bubbles in, it actually makes it look more realistic. Right, bear with while I just shift these over there. Oh, that's them. Right, for this last bit, there isn't a great deal left. I'm just going to use this mould, and I'm just going to use a couple of mica powders, I think, to play around in it. So I'll just get this poured in. In fact, I might get a couple more cabs out of this. There's a lot more in this than I thought there was. There we go. So that's poured in now. Get a clean cocktail stick, just knock the end off it, get them drips back in. There we go. And where's my mica powders? I have some mica powders for using with resin, but normal mica powders work a treat as well, guys. So let's have a look. I might mix a couple of metallics together, like a copper and a gold, maybe a dark brown. I'll use these three. These are just inexpensive. You can use them in soaps and stuff. They're really good mica powders. Where's my little scoop? And you don't really need a lot. I'm just going to put a little drop of it there, of that one. And I'm just going to stir it and then drag it to get a swirl going through the liquid. And don't worry about any powder that's on top, guys. If it doesn't soak in, it wipes off the back. And let's put a bit of this one in. There's my little scoop. Oh, that was a bit too much, but again, shan't worry. Let's just twirl this in. And I'm not doing anything in particular, I'm just swirling it around. I don't think I put any gold in, I think that's plenty. Just going to run around the edge just to make sure that there's the colours moved around, and on the inside of that, trying not to catch the bottom of the mould again, because I don't want it to scratch. even though I've taken the end off. I've still got quite a bit of doodah in there, guys. Right, I'll just give this a flash. Can you see how the mica moves around when it gets warm as well? So that can create interesting things. Right, give that a tap just to make sure there's no big bubbles stuck at the bottom. And I'll pop this to one side. And oh, I think I might get another one of these big ones done. This time I think I'll mix it in the pot. I'm gonna put some funky greens in, I think. What shall I do? Oh, I'll do a black. Let's do a black. I like my blacks, as you've probably noticed. Let me just clean that stick off a little bit, and I'm not contaminating my powders. I'm just going to pop quite a bit of black powder into the bottom of that one, and I'm going to give this a really good stir up. I say black, it's like a metallic black, guys. It's not black, like a hematite colour, really. So let's pour that in there. Oh, slightly overfilled. Oh, my cup's falling over. Sit. And I'm just going to let that do what it wants. I'm not going to add anything else to it. I'll just give it a flash to help some of the bubbles. Give it a little tap. Give it another flash. And I'll pop this to one side, and we've still got a bit left, so I might, let's just pop you there. I'm just going to bring this mould back in where our doodah is, and I'm just going to use the rest of this in a couple of these other moulds. Again, I don't like wasting it, guys, so this will make quite an interesting hematite looking cab. Now then, I don't think there'll be quite enough to fill this one, but it will dome and it will give us a small cab. Because I don't want to waste good materials. Is that all? I think so. Just that last bit there. There we go. Sorted, and I think I might drop. Shall I drop a bit of alcohol ink in, or shall I just mix a bit of gold in? Oh, copper. I'll try a bit of this copper. Just going to pop. Oh, I'm trying to get the tiniest bit, and I don't overdo it. There. I'm just going to mix a bit of copper in with this one. Just, oh, blunt my stick off. Let's get it swirling through it. I don't know how well this will show up, guys, but you never know, do you? You never know till you try. Right. Let's give these a flash. And I will just give that one more stir now I've flashed it, because the copper's popped to the top, and that should ripple it back through. There we go. Right guys, that's everything used up. I shall see you in a little while when these have gone off enough for me to pop them out and the other resin is set on the other things. See you in a little bit. Hey everybody, oh, it's so early, I just couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd get up and finish my video. Right, everything's dry, everything's lovely. I think these could have done with just a touch more resin in them, so I think I will add a little bit more. Maybe just put a little bit of UV over the top, just to fill it in. I'm just on these edges here, can you see? It's not quite filled it, but it's got a beauty. This, I'll give this Pebeo crystal resin its due. It is a stunning finish. There is not one bubble in there. I mean, I know I flashed them and stuff, but for doing small projects, it is beautiful resin. I can really recommend it, and I actually checked the prices against other resins that I use, and to be fair, it's maybe £1 more by volume, so I might have to treat myself and get some more, I think, for when I'm doing my smaller pieces of jewellery rather than using the big bottled stuff. So that's that one. It's beautiful finish, and I'm so pleased with how these have turned out, especially after my little hiccup where they weren't working very well. So they're the pendants. I just put them to one side. This is the piece that I drizzled resin on. There we go, you can catch the light now. It looks really funky and cool. I might just stick it up on my wall as a mini piece of art, but yeah, I'm really pleased with that. Looks kind of funky. Something a bit different, of course, if you'd use different colours. This is my kind of thing, these colours, but if you used you can imagine it in them colours, but doing that, it'd be wild. It'd look like a sunset or something, wouldn't it? So yeah, there's a little bit of art, and here's just the pieces that I made with the, oh, can't pick them up, the pieces that I made with the leftovers. You can see, let me just grab a little bit of white paper. You can see the little colour change within it because we put that extra little drop in. And here's the other one. Really nice. Of course they need a little bit of sand on the back, but other than that. And these are the things I did with the bits that were left over. This looks really cool. This was the bronze and, was it bronze and copper I put in? Or bronze and gold? That's made a really interesting pendant. These have turned out amazing. They look like hematite. Really funky looking. And here's the, oh, here's just a little one. Again, really funky looking. And the one that I stirred copper into, you can barely see the copper. There's just little flecks of it running through. So I suppose I'm not going to call it a fail because it is an interesting piece. It just looks like a dark stone with some copper flecks running through it. But there you go guys, just a little short and sweet finisher for you. I'll just bring all these in, then you can have a toot. And of course I finished my other magnets off, so these have all got magnets on the back now. My little fridge magnets. I might give my friend a couple of these. So there you go guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I probably won't do it again because it has literally taken I think it's 9 days, by the time you see this video, it'll have been 9 days prep. I may do a couple of resin videos though, guys, mixing it with clay, because I did want to keep my page and channel predominantly for clay, but I might mix it up a little bit every now and again and just throw a few little odd videos in. And I do know a couple of people asked me about making the faux amber, so now you know how I do it. It's not hard, is it? So yeah, I shall leave it there, guys, and I shall see you all in the next video. Bye now.